Hello and welcome to the first podcast episode of Cinecult. Cinecult is the free online magazine that will discuss movies that define modern cinema and modern culture. My name is Radoslava Nenkova and I'm the founder of our magazine. Today I'm with Yorgos Savidis, social media manager of our project and co-writer of our magazine. Yorgos, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Yorgos, I'm from Greece. And to paraphrase Goodfellas, as far back as I can remember, I always loved cinema. But seriously now, I always watch the movies. I studied in film school back in Greece. I was writing in blogs about cinema, about films that I love and I believe that everyone should watch. And now I'm extremely honored and proud to be part of this magazine. So, people can read what I have to say, what the other colleagues like Dr. Kastelov has to say about our magazine and the movies that define cinema and how cinema evolved.
Thank you. Before we get into more details, we need to mention that this project, Cinecult magazine and Cinecult podcast that you watch now, are made possible with the support of National Fund of Culture of Bulgaria. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to find our free magazine in English and Bulgarian down in the description box.
In the links down.
Yeah. Okay, Yorgos. So, what is Cinecult magazine about? You're one of our authors.
So, in our first edition, we tried somehow, we had one main thematic, like movies that came out that were released in 1999. We believe that this year was a landmark in the history of cinema. We have great films that happened during that time, and we will discuss them more as our episode goes on. And we will try somehow to find the connections with nowadays cinemas. Like how it happened, like if there are connections between them, how they are connected. And most importantly, we will see, like tendencies both in Hollywood and in European cinema, and not only. So, like we have from the one side, Hollywood as a mainstream cinema, as we call it nowadays. From the other side, we will try to speak more art house, or although I don't like this term, but movies that come outside of the studio system, as we call it. So we speak about that, and for the last part, as a fanboy, I will say it, horror movies, So for the fans of horror, stay till the end, we speak a bit about that as well.
Yeah, we have 2 articles that are dedicated to horror fans, and one of the article is dedicated to South Korean horror.
Yeah, because we want, as I said, we don't want only to focus on Hollywood, but, there are cinematographies all over the world, and, we need to discuss more about them.
Okay, so let's speak about movies. Let's speak about 1919. Nine movies. What is your favorite movie from this year and why?
Okay, we will start with Matrix.
Okay. That's always a very good beginning.
That's always a very good beginning. We discuss, we focus a lot about Matrix on our magazine, and there is a reason for that. I believe that Matrix was a phenomenon. When it came, the moment it came, and, I don't know if you remember seeing it on cinemas, but I was there, and it was a unique experience. First of all, we didn't have internet the way we have it now.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously. Second of all, the special effects in this movie, they were spectacular. They were unique. It's not... Okay, we've seen great special effects, for example, in movies like...
Blade Runner.
Yeah, before that. Or during the 90s, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Amazing as well. But here, you could see that, they focused so much. They used computers because as technology was advancing. They used that. But on the other side, it was also an action movie. So, okay, 2 of the stuff I like in cinema, in mainstream cinema at least, from the one side, the good special effects, and on the other side, a good action movie, they were combined in one. It's something unique that, all this together, and you're so excited, you go to the cinemas, and it's like this. We have to say about Matrix, it's very important that they actually called Kung Fu and Jiu-Jitsu masters from Asia to teach the actors. And fun fact, Keanu Reeves, even till nowadays, he trains in Jiu-Jitsu. He's doing that every day. So, he liked what he did, I guess.
Yeah, but also what Krasimir Kastelov mentioned in our Bulgarian podcast, how you fight a simulation with punches and kicks.
I mean, it's
It
it's an absurd poetry. I mean, and like because we have to mention a bit of the what Matrix, like how it was inspired. Okay, we will say that it's inspired after so many movies, but Matrix itself was inspired by different movements, even religions. First of all,
Buddhism.
Taoism and Christianity, like Neo as the Messiah. We had messiahs in other movies in the past, like in Life of Brian. He's the Messiah. No, I'm not the Messiah. And stuff like that. Okay, seriously though, no.
Okay, but Neo had a choice.
Do we always have a choice? I mean, anyway, is it a choice to stay, like in a false reality? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, and not only from religions, as we say, but, like from philosophy. For example, it was, like heavily influenced by cyberpunk, which was a sub-genre that was during the 80s, actually. Although it was inspired by science fiction writers like Philip Dick, for example. But during the 80s, we have William Gibson's Neuromancer, which was iconic for that movement. And it somehow combines high-tech technology with dystopian life and, like how society has collapsed, actually. So we have all this combined in this film. And, of course, Baudrillard's theory about simulacra and simulation. If you remember in the film, Neo reads the book of Baudrillard.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point. But then, like in all the movie, they try to say that we live in simulation.
Actually, Elon Musk is saying that we live in simulation. In one of his interviews, he said that the possibility of us living in a base reality is very, very low.
Yeah, I don't want to discuss Elon Musk, so I don't like him.
If one of the most influential people nowadays says that, it means that this movie came in the right time.
Yeah, because
and changed society, I would say.
Keep in mind, I don't know if you remember, or for our audience that is kind of a bit older, but during 1999, there was a huge fear that, like society will collapse because computers would collapse. There was this fear of Y2K, that computers would not be able to adjust to the millennium 2000, and society would collapse. Okay, this didn't happen, unfortunately, but okay.
Actually, I saw on YouTube a compilation of advertisements for what to buy before this moment that everything is going to collapse. And the item that was sold out was a kind of light, that emergency light that you can go for 2-3 days and you're going to have light. So they were actually believing that the world will stop.
Yeah, there were even people that, like they went into isolation, dark into the forest.
With beans, cans.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, Matrix presented to the audience very unique aesthetic. But do you find it so unique, or you think that it's just like the cyberpunk in its max point?
Okay, yeah, I see where you go, and some film critics actually agree with what you go to say, that, Matrix was a compilation of different movements, different philosophical theories, all in once, packed with kung fu, But,
obviously.
Okay, on the other side, it made many people read these books and try to search a bit more about that, and, you don't normally expect that from a Hollywood blockbuster. So, if we, agree with the critics that saying that, it was a merge that sometimes it didn't work well, especially on the sequel, Matrix 2 and Matrix 3, this was more problematic. But in first Matrix, because it was the first time we were seeing that, it was unique because I didn't know about Baudrillard's theory, but I searched for it after I saw Matrix. Okay, not when I was a kid, because I couldn't understand it, obviously, but, the following year when I started discovering what is cinema about and why is Matrix is that important, as they say. For example, in Matrix, there was this technique called bullet time technique, that it was for the first time there, when Neo does this stuff and, the bullet stops. And it has given, it's unique in aesthetics because the Wachowskis, then brothers, now sisters, they managed somehow to take the best parts out of everything and make a compilation. For example, the year before, it was Dark City by Alex Proyas, but it didn't go that well. Although for me it's a cult classic, but it didn't reach the aesthetics and like the phenomenon that Matrix actually was.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon. For me, somehow, the movie that I watch every time after The Matrix is Akira.
Okay.
What you may say on this topic?
Okay, for sure Matrix was inspired by Akira. I mean, we
Yeah.
say that it tried to combine a bit of everything. Okay, Akira is unique. Okay, for those who you don't know, it's an animation film from Japan. Again, like it's the collapse of the world. Again, like something terrible will happen. Machines, like will be. Are they machines our friends? Are they our enemies? It's somehow
The Skynet is always there.
sky's the limit.
Indeed. Okay, moving on. The other film that defined pop culture was Fight Club by David Fincher. And I know that I break the first rule of Fight Club and I speak about Fight Club, but tell us more about this movie, this film, and what you think about it.
First of all, amazing performances by Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, and Nolan Bonham Carter. Yeah, they were really great, especially Norton. I mean, I like him a lot as an actor, and there I believe he gave a huge performance. It's based on the book by Palanchuk, and Fincher managed somehow to create an atmosphere, again a dystopian atmosphere, but with more realistic events, more about the society as we had it in 1999. A huge topic about this film is about it's about masculinity. It's about the relationships that men build with each other, and it's not something that we haven't seen previous on cinema. Technically, cinema is patriarchy. In terms that it was
used to be
at that time anyway. But in this case, in Fight Club, the relationships between men are fragile. Although they have to fight to prove their masculinity. On the other side, you see, for example, there is this man Bob who had huge breasts, and he had problem with the testosterone levels, stuff like that, and that's why he's effeminate. Or you will see men that cry and stuff like that, and they will try and they have Fight Club, but in real life they don't speak about Fight Club. They don't speak to each other even though they are together. So some critics have actually implied that it's also a hidden homosexuality, and that their masculinity is somehow into danger, and they want to to keep it secret.
Well, if honestly, I don't see the masculinity as the central topic of Fight Club. For me, the central topic is the conscious and the subconscious in the way Carl Jung wrote about it. So they could be women. They could be different setting, but the human nature is always going to be the same.
Yes and no. I mean, okay, first of all, it was based on the novel, and in the novel as well, it's about men. And second of all, I believe that Fincher wanted to emphasize on these relationships, these male relationships, in order to deconstruct this toxic masculinity. I mean, it was not as a term that much then, but to show that men, they can also be fragile. Men can also be broken. They can have problems, and they don't discuss it because what men do, they will fight. So how, for example, we say, oh, what he does go and watch football and gets wasted in a bar, something like that.
Yeah, but it's the stereotypes.
And Fincher tries to deconstruct them. I believe, this is my personal approach.
So, do you think that Fight Club has been idolized for the wrong reasons?
Yes, I mean, just go on YouTube and search many videos about that. I mean, seriously though, there are many of these alpha males called that they will just believe that it's Fight Club, and we should fight, and we lose our role in the society, and now with all these things that women are doing and all these LGBT, and they will keep speaking about that because they believe that actually Fight Club speaks about them. Fight Club speaks about them, but not in the way they perceive it. Fight Club tries, to speak about gender equality, while on contrary, they do not want gender equality.
Wow, there is only one character that is a woman.
Yeah.
Paradoxical.
Maybe the best one. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, do you find anti-hero concept
In
in
Fight
the Fight Club? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, okay, I don't remember exactly, like paraphrase it, but they say that they belong in this generation that, like they don't have the war, but they don't have also the technology and everything, like running towards them. So, like they are in the between that they have nothing. So, yes, I would say. I mean, you see my point. I mean, they believe that they are the best.
They're
and
the lost children of history.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because they don't have the Great War, they don't have the Great
Exactly.
Depression. They're just there. They do nothing. They try to pay their mortgages.
Yeah. In a society that looks to be well, but deep down it's very problematic.
Yes, indeed. When we speak about problematic society and anti-heroes, we cannot not mention the recent movie about the Joker. What you have to say about this movie? Do you like it?
First of all, we record this podcast before the second Joker,
Yes.
Joker 2 Folia de comes out. So
One of the most anticipated movies of the 2024.
So we don't know if it will be good, but we can speak only
hope.
about the first Joker in 2019 by Todd Phillips. First of all, okay, we all agree that Joaquin Phoenix gives an amazing performance. He totally deserved the Academy Award for leading actor, as he won it. Yes, it is this concept of anti-hero grows more and more. We have seen it even on Marvel movies or like DC movies. Deadpool, for example, is not a hero. He's not a
Yes.
hero. Stuff like that. The Punisher, if you remember before that. But Joker itself speaks more about society. Like when the other movies they were more either funny or more action. Joker itself focuses, emphasizes on the problems that like Joaquin Phoenix has before he transforms into Joker. They saw that like society has neglected him. Society doesn't care. Society will not be there to support people who are in need. That's why this anti-hero, like this movie, my personal approach, okay, apart from the comic book that they were quite, and the Joker character that existed before, Heath Ledger, he did in the Dark Knight trilogy. He was a famous character, but specifically now it was the protagonist, and it's not something common in Hollywood at least to have a villain to be the protagonist.
Very well said. Okay, when we speak about anti-hero protagonist, let's go to the Dark Knight trilogy. How you feel about Nolan? Do you think that he finds the balance between cinema as industry and cinema as art?
Okay, that's a great pass that you do because we have to mention for our friends who don't know it that Christopher Nolan made his debut on 1999
Yes.
with his film Following. So technically, like he's part of our magazine, let's say, because he started there, and we explore why this year was important in cinema.
And we have an article written by Krasimir Kastelov that puts the light on his movies in general, his filmography, starting from Memento and finishing with Oppenheimer. That took the Oscar for the best
picture. Yeah.
Yes.
So, first of all, we have to say that the Dark Knight trilogy is dark. It's on the name,
Yes.
obviously. But like while the previous movies, for example, by Tim Burton about Batman, they were kind of more, like it's cult. Like take it as you wish. Like with different aesthetic. Dark Knight becomes dark. It speaks about like how this character becomes the way he becomes, how he does. You see this transformation, and then you see his enemies as well. Like well depicted. You see them. In other movies, they would be just caricatures, but here they have like real emotions. They have real value. Like they have motivation, as we say.
Yeah. They're not just sponge bags.
Yeah, and that like we'll fight a bit, they kill someone, and in the end they just die. Like they evolve during the movies, and this is something that like Nolan he read, like he emphasized on like reading these books perfectly in order to find for each character how they can be evolved. So, yes, Nolan added to the Batman Dark Knight,
The anti-hero part.
the anti-hero part, because it was, again, for Hollywood, like they didn't want the villain to have this much attention, let's say. They wanted just to present him, like some funny moments or a bit dark moments, but that's it, like not a lot. And Nolan does the opposite. He gives them equal time, almost. Like especially in the second film of the trilogy, Joker appears in screen time almost the same time as
Exactly.
Christian Bale, like with Batman. So, like you don't see this coming. But anyway, in order to speak more about Nolan, he started in 1999 with Following. The next year he did Memento. And he continued doing then blockbusters because he had the opportunity, to attract the studios with his ideas, with his vision, to give him a huge budget. And but on the other side, he didn't compromise.
Yes. You give me also very good pass. Do you think that Christopher Nolan is auteur? I hope I say it correct because I don't know French. Do you think he is? Or he is a commercial director?
Okay, you can have the one and the other. Okay, it's very difficult, but I believe yes. Because before going to what auteur is, and we will discuss it on the second part of our magazine as well, we need to say that Christopher Nolan, somehow he manages to keep his vision. Like, nobody would go and do 3 hours movie about a nuclear physicist. I mean, I didn't believe that I would ever care to see that. 3 hours on cinema to go and,
What was your grade on physics in school?
Terrible. I don't want to go into this sad topic. Yeah. So in order to manage to keep us looking, not taking our eyes from the screen, I mean, it's something unique. That's why, because he's an excellent storyteller. He knows how to keep the audience attached, he does it this visually with the way he uses his editing techniques. That, it's not something that goes continuity, but there is back and forward all the time.
Yes.
He manages also to, to have great music scores. Okay, I love Hans Zimmer, but for Oppenheimer, I was a bit worried because he decided to work with Ludwig Göransson. I was not familiar with his work, but, when I heard his music, I was, very excited, and I'm really happy that he won the Academy Award for music score, Ludwig Göransson, because music in all of his movies is not just as a background, where there is action or when there is a dialogue. Music itself has its role in the movie. Music, creates emotions, and Nolan knows how to use it. So, one other thing that we didn't say about Nolan, he doesn't like to use CGI. Yeah. All the special effects and stuff like that he does, okay, he didn't throw an atomic bomb, but if he could, he would.
But he blows some stuff.
He blows his stuff, yeah. If he can, he will blow his stuff. So, let's say I admire these things to him. So, and he participates in all the parts of production, from pre-production, of course, during the movie, and the post-production. We need to say also that his wife is producer of his movies. So, he's there. And to go now to speak about if he's an auteur or a commercial director, as you said, he can be both. And for me, he is both. He knows what the audience wants. He knows, first of all, what the studios want. The studios want money. The studios want people to go to cinemas, pay their tickets, and go see the movies. So he knows how to present his stories, and that's why he gets also an amazing cast. In every movie that he made, even Memento had good, somehow famous actors, but as long as he was going, he was able to attract the superstars, as we say, or to make them superstars, like Cillian Murphy now, or to find superstars that, somehow their careers was not that good, like Robert Downey Jr. Okay, he was great in Iron Man and stuff like that, but his career had many ups and downs, and he gives an amazing performance now in Oppenheimer. So he knows how to get the best out of everyone, and not only for his cast, but also with the crew he's working, because he works with several of them for many of his movies. So they know how to communicate, they know what he wants, he knows what they can offer. So and to reply to your question about there, technically, it's a theory that was created, like the French legendary filmmaker François Truffaut during the 50s. He said he spoke about the policy of auteurs, saying that an auteur is this filmmaker that participates in all parts of production, and he has the final saying in all these parts. So technically, he's a filmmaker. Most of the times, he said that it's the director that he decides, like what's going on, what we as the audience go to see, and he has his vision, and he doesn't want to compromise about that. So technically, when you see a movie of an auteur, you don't see a genre, you don't see something, like, oh, now we will see a western, but you know that you
Yeah,
see a
vision.
movie, yeah,
Yes.
you see Nolan's movie, and like we speak about that, how we'll say, oh, did you see the new Scorsese movie? You don't say, oh, did you see this western that came this year? Or first we will speak about the filmmaker, and then you will speak about, oh, what is the movie about? So this is, okay, more or less, let's say, the auteur theory. So yeah, I believe Nolan is one. Commercial, if you say it like that, but if you can make people go to see a movie about a physician, I mean, kudos.
Speaking about the origins of evil in human history, we cannot not mention Stanley Kubrick and his movie Eyes Wide Shut. We have an article dedicated to this film on our magazine. What do you think about Eyes Wide Shut?
Okay, sorry, I'm laughing, but you made a great pass because we speak about Oppenheimer, who was not the representation of evil on Earth, but his creation destroyed literally Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So
Yeah.
somehow, okay, he created it, but he didn't want to be used like that. So like the actual representation of evil, and now you ask me about a different kind of evil.
Actually, this evil is mass destruction evil, so it's even bigger in a way.
Yeah, but okay, if we speak specifically about Eyes Wide Shut, like it's a different kind of evil. You know. Okay, let's say first a few things about the movie for our friends who may have not seen it. It stars Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. They were a couple in real life back then. They
Yes.
were married. They divorced a few years later. It was the hottest, obviously, couple of Hollywood. Then it was Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie for our younger friends. Let's say it
Yes.
like that. So yeah, and during this movie, we see they are an upper class couple, and we see their problematic relationship. And technically, when the movie starts, when Nicole Kidman tells to Tom Cruise that, you know what, I was contemplating of having an affair 1 year ago.
Yeah, with the naval officer.
Yeah, exactly. So the movie starts. Again, we will speak about masculinity. I mean, you see, because we have male directors as well all the time.
Okay.
And you will see that, men can be damaged.
Self-centered.
Obviously. But, afraid, like when a woman becomes somehow more powerful. Or, like that they cannot control her. So, okay, moving on. The movie, then shows how Tom Cruise, during Christmas in New York.
Yeah, the Christmas lights are a very important part of the stylistic of the movie.
Yeah,
the
the set
aesthetic,
department. Yeah, exactly.
which is totally paradoxical, and I love it.
Normally, the movie is based on a book that was taking place in Vienna in the beginning of 20th century during Mardi Gras. But, Stanley Kubrick changed it in New York on Christmas. So, yeah. And anyway, he starts moving around. He discovers a secret society. And, now, this is the best part, a part that I love and I hate at the same time in YouTube. Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick is the favorite director of all conspiracy theorists worldwide.
Yeah.
We can say
Tell
that.
us why.
Okay, the moon landing, obviously. Many people believe that he put many keys in the movie The Shining, based on the Stephen King's novel, The Shining. And all these keys and features, they lead to the idea that USA never went to the moon, never landed on the moon. That this is all a lie.
Okay, but to return to Eyes Wide Shut, we have to say that they believe that Kubrick wanted to depict, all these secret societies that they control the world. And, they are always obsessed about sex. And they're obsessed about power. And, that these are the actual people who control the world and not, for example, the politicians that we vote. So that's why it's also a favorite part of them,
Actually, for me, the movie is not erotic thriller, as it was advertised for many years.
The studios advertised that Kubrick died before the movie was released.
Yeah, obviously. But it's more about power and then about sex. It was the sex was never the first.
Yeah,
in the
okay, it
story.
plays a huge role in the movie.
Yeah, but in a symbolic level, it's always the power, the power dynamic.
Yeah, the power dynamic, it's always there. I mean, we discussed it from the beginning that the movie actually starts when the power dynamic, the couple dynamics change. You know, like Tom Cruise believed that he had the great relationship with his wife, and it suddenly changes when she tells him that, you know, like, dude, there was another guy. So, yeah, and moving on, you know, like,
And he was wearing the uniform. He was a naval.
Exactly. So technically, you know, like the moment the male realizes that he loses his power, he tries to find somehow other ways to try to gain it back.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, enough about Hollywood. Let's
Oh,
move.
no, I want to ask you
Europe.
before we move on. How do you rank Kubrick? Eyes Wide Shut, because we speak to our magazine about it.
I'm a huge fan of The Shining.
Okay.
Not because of the moon landing things, but in general, it's very deep and very interesting movie. For me, Eyes Wide Shut, they make very strong statement, but it doesn't appeal to me so much.
Okay. To remind to everyone that, you know, like Stanley Kubrick has 13 full-length feature films, starting from with Fear and Desire, then he went to Killer's Kiss, The Killing, then Paths of Glory, then Spartacus, Lolita, Doctor Strangelove, Clockwork, Space Odyssey, before that,
Yes.
sorry, Clockwork Orange. Then he would go with Barry Lyndon, and then it's, of course, The Shining, then Full Metal Jacket, and in the end, Eyes Wide Shut.
How do you rank them?
Okay, Fear and Desire is his worst movie. The first one is his worst. Okay, we start from that. Then Kills Kiss, yeah, it's decent, but not Kubrick standards. Okay, if we count them, okay, Kubrick, there is something unique about him. He was always changing genres. He didn't stay in one genre. For example, for me, he's done one of the best comedies of all times, Doctor Strangelove. It's unique, and again, it speaks about mass destruction in the end of the world. So, and the world there is get destroyed. Actually, he has done one of the best horror of all times, The Shining. He has done one of the best sci-fi of all times,
Space Odyssey.
Exactly. He has done one of the, you know, like most absurdic, weird thriller, you know, like with Clockwork Orange. You know, you see him everywhere. For me, okay, maybe this is an unpopular opinion. The Killing, it's one of the best film noir / action movies, you know, like during the 50s. Amazing Sterling Hayden, great movie, watch it. Path of Glory with Kirk Douglas. It's unique anti-war film about the First World War. And I mean, everything almost he did, it's great. Okay, maybe Lolita didn't age well, or Spartacus, you know, like the effects of the movie seem a bit old, but it had an amazing cast. So yeah, I mean, taking everything, all of this into consideration, yeah, to me as well, Eyes Wide Shut don't rank that high. I understand why some people love it, and Kubrick himself loved it. He believed it was his magnum opus.
Yes.
I mean, okay, then maybe there's something we didn't see or something that he would have explained in an interview.
I believe that it was his general pessimism about society and people.
In the end of the millennium.
And end of his life. So
yeah, so maybe.
He gave us a very dark message. Somehow.
I mean, visually, aesthetically, it's amazing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, always all his movies, so yeah, it's not a big deal for him.
Let me catch you something. You said that Lolita didn't age well. What about American Beauty? Did it age well? It's actually the film that has the Oscar for the best picture in 1999.
Exactly, and not only that, it has also the best actor for Kevin Spacey, best director for Sam Mendes, best screenplay and best cinematography.
Yeah, wow.
So it has 5 of the, you know, like the big Academy Awards, as we say. So a few things about American Beauty is the fact that it has different themes at the same time, different motifs. So technically the story is about the Benham family, who is Kevin Spacey, Annette Bening, and their daughter. And it's a problematic relationship. So yeah, Kevin Spacey, you know, like is a man who has a middle-age crisis. His life goes nowhere. And
he buys a shiny car.
No, wait. Before going there, he falls in love with a 16-year-old girl who is the best friend of his daughter. And then he becomes like that. He gets fired from his job. He buys a shiny car. He starts exercising out of nowhere and stuff like that. So this depiction, okay, definitely didn't age well because, you know, like what Kevin Spacey has done in his real life.
Yeah.
In case you don't know it, he's a sex abuser, you know, like that. Yeah, with a minor, also a problem,
Yes.
you know.
So this movie,
Okay, although in the movie, in the very end, he says no, he declines the offer of the
Yeah.
teenage girl who asks him to have sex with him. But yeah, okay, this is the one part. There are again different representations of manhood. We saw Kevin Spacey, you know, like having the middle life crisis. There is their neighbor who is, you know, like this ex-marine officer who is very conservative and he wants always, you know, like to be a free control. Then his son, who is, you know, like had some mental issues and, you know, like he follows with the camera, the daughter of Kevin Spacey, you know, different kind of representation. And on the other side, you will see that the women is vice versa. For example, Annette Bening, as Kevin Spacey's wife in the movie, she tries to have everything perfect. She believes that, you know, like everything must be perfect. She somehow resembles these, you've seen these 1950 American movies that, you know, like the housewife at home.
the middle class wife.
Yeah, in the suburbs.
Yes.
That everything shines, everything is perfect, you know, like there is not even the grass is trimmed, the roses are perfect.
But she's also a working woman with successful career. That's the twist here.
Yeah, although if you remember that at some point in the beginning of the film, let's say, when she tries to sell a house and she doesn't make it, but yet she tries so hard, she cleans everything, she cleans the pool, she paints, she does everything.
Yeah.
It's because she wants to have everything perfect. And that's why, you know, like she gets disappointed by her husband, who doesn't try anymore. And she goes for something else. Another representation of a man who he even says during the movie, the king of real estate, that even if everything is perfect, I try to make it think perfect, look perfect, you know.
So fake it
till you make it.
Exactly. Okay, enough with Hollywood. Let's move to Europe. I know that Pedro Almodovar is one of your favorite directors. Can you explain us why?
Okay, first of all, because again, 1999, we discuss it a lot, not only, but a lot in our magazine. You will find it in the links below. In 1999, he gives the movie All About My Mother, which I personally believe is his best movie in his whole filmography. Why I love him? Because from personal experience, when I was young and I was just watching horror films and stuff like that, there was this section in my local video club. For those of you who don't know what a video club is, you know, like it's how we were watching movies before streaming platforms and YouTube back then. So yeah, we were going and loan VHS and then DVDs and then Blu-rays and stuff like that. So yeah, there was this section, you know, like European cinema, and I was like, okay, what is this? And there were some movies by Almodovar, and you know, like as a teenager, I didn't know what it was, and you know, like I felt really surprised to discover that there is some different kind of cinema than the ones, you know, like we had on the TV, on, you know, the movies we were actually watching with friends and stuff, you know, like action, horror. It was something different for me. And since I discovered him back then, I believe that, you know, like he heavily influenced me. But let's speak more about Almodovar. He's unique in his style. He's not afraid to use kids, to make kids his personality, you know, like to make his movies kids, but in a way that you understand that it's highly aesthetic. I love him because, you know, like he's okay with presenting a different kind of woman, you know, like a different kind of how, you know, like we have relationships in our minds and what actually happens in the society, or, you know, like how he wants it to be in the society. For example, in all of his movies, if a character is gay, lesbian, trans, whatever, they don't have to come out of the closet, or they don't have to explain their actions. They're
already there. Yes.
They just are, you know, like they just are themselves, and you know, like there's something that you wouldn't see it anywhere else. Okay, nowadays hopefully it starts coming even on mainstream cinema, but back then, during the 80s, this was nothing that was, you know, like talking about. It was a bit of secret, and Almodovar gave it out to the world.
He puts it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
These people exist. They can be protagonists.
Yeah. Keep in mind that he comes also from a very conservative society, because Spain for 40 years was under Franco's dictatorship.
Yes.
So Almodovar comes from a very poor region of Extremadura, and then during the 70s he moves to Madrid when there was this Movida movement, and technically he gets to know people, like that he wasn't aware of their existence, and like he becomes part of them, this punk culture, like this drug culture and stuff like that, and this, like you will see it in even from the beginning of his movies, from his first movies, and then moving on. But to focus a bit more on All About My Mother and why I believe it's his best film, and before what he did and after. Okay, so many reasons. I don't know where to start. Okay, first of all, female representation. The female, like they're strong characters. They are not just, like the housewives or the women who will fight for a man.
They are not stereotypes.
Exactly.
They're not types. They're every woman for herself.
Yeah. They are not antagonists. Okay, there will be some, like jealousy and stuff like that during the film, but not because, I need this man, like I need to have this job. They are strong and independent women, and, like they fight for their rights. They fight for the way to express themselves. And not only that, but they build female friendships. It's not something that common, like only Thelma Louise comes, like pops up immediately in my mind that happened before this movie about female friendship that, like you don't see it in movies. In mainstream movies, how often do you remember yourself you seeing female friendships? I don't speak about Sex and the City stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and the males, especially in All About My Mother, they are absent. We see in the beginning of the film her son, Cecilia Roth's son, and the relationship they have, and then then the way the family is presented. It's not the stereotypical family that like the mother cooks and does everything and the son just sits down. They do stuff together, and at the same time, a bit later, Almodovar depicts another family which is more conservative. That like the mother is somehow has the hierarchy, and like the daughter has to follow her. So technically, Almodovar tries to show the two pictures of the Spanish society. The one which is more progressive and wants to move forward, and the other one which is conservative and wants to return back to dictatorship.
Left and right wing, in a way.
Yeah, and we know where Almodovar stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that you're also a huge horror fan, and we have 2 articles dedicated to horror. Tell me, very simple question, why people watch horror?
Oh, come on. I mean, why do you watch horror?
Because it's visually interesting.
Oh, that's a very good and generic answer.
Yeah, but it's very...
No,
true.
It's true. It's true.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Okay.
It brings innovation
Most
in
definitely,
cinema.
yeah. I believe there are many reasons. Okay, somehow it expresses emotions that like we didn't know that we have hidden in ourselves. And maybe to go a step forward and like stuff that maybe we would like to do in our life, but like we can't because we have rules, society, like it's not good to kill other people, obviously. But
Okay.
like when you see it there, it somehow
Dark
makes
humor.
you yeah, too dark. But somehow when you see it there, you are like, okay, at least I see it. It gives me satisfaction, in a very
Does it?
for some people, I guess it does. I mean, okay, keep in mind that horror also represents a part of the society, and like because in horror, and especially there are many subgenres, like not one horror, and horror itself shows what are the fears of the society at that moment. Like it will be either a serial killer, it will be either like the fear of vampires, and like the zombies, and the zombies is fear of the apocalypse, or like there's a
Yeah.
catastrophe of the world. You see, there are many stuff that will make us love. That's why we are intrigued. And although we have seen thousands of horror, we want to see even more. Because, like it's always the fear of unpredictable. Because, okay, another reason that many people watch horror, because our lives, somehow they are predictable. Like we have a routine, work, home, work.
So, work, home, serial killer. You break the routine.
Yeah, not the way you put it, but yes, okay. Yeah, like you see something unexpected, something that doesn't happen in your life, and like you don't want it to happen in your life, but at the same time, it convicts you, like that there is something out there, like that's something unique and bad
Okay.
at the same time.
Speaking of unique, what do you think about South Korean horror?
Oof. South Korean cinema in general evolved greatly and travels now all over the world. Mostly because of masterpieces like Old Boy by Park Chan-wook in 2003, and in the same year, Memories of a Murder by Bong Joon-ho, the guy who won the Oscar in 2019 with Parasite. So, like these two movies somehow broke the barriers, and, like brought South Korean cinema into a worldwide scale. But horror itself, it has evolved similarly because it gives something different to what we used. Like there is always, they are more gore, they are more brutal than to what we are used. Okay, I don't say that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not gore and brutal, but
Oh,
yeah, but on the other side, like the South Koreans, they visually emphasize on the brutality in some of the films. In other films, they will play a lot with paranormal and metaphysical activity.
and their own folk tales and
Exactly, where female ghosts
yes,
play a huge role. And this is also a part of how the society evolved in South Korea. That again, the women didn't have the same power as men had. And, like by the female ghost that has a unique power that, like it can control and change the society in the way that, like it scares the men who already have the power. And specifically in our magazine, I will speak about two great movies that came during the 2010s. I Saw the Devil in 2010 and The Wailing in 2016. And they cover both of the examples that we actually said. In I Saw the Devil, we technically see, like how, like an officer who is, like highly in the rank, his wife is brutally murdered and he tries to find the serial killer. We have seen that many times, right? Yeah. But while in the, like in Hollywood cinema, for example, you would empathize with the protagonist that, like tries to find the serial killer, the man who killed his wife. Here you cannot. You know why? Because he becomes even more brutal than the serial killer himself. He becomes, like it's like the cat and the mouse. Like he discovers them. He discovers the serial killer. He beats him to death. But he leaves him alive so he can find him again and destroy him again. So
the oldest motive, vengeance.
Exactly, but like he had him there the first time. Why he didn't stop? Because he becomes the monster himself, the protagonist. Something that you wouldn't see in the Hollywood movies, because in Hollywood movies we want to empathize with someone. It will be the innocent girl that tries to escape the serial killer. It will be some member of the group of friends that like has the idea to go away. Like you will empathize with someone, or even some fun character. There it's all dark, and it's all gore and brutal.
Yeah.
And on the other side, on The Wailing, you have again also there it becomes a bit brutal, but in a different way, because there we have the paranormal activity, we have the murders that happen, but this is because of the external factor that is, like a ghost. First from Japan, like the fear of having something outside. Yeah. And if you know Japan and South Korea, they didn't have good relationships. But then in the end, it's the female ghost that actually, like was the one that was scaring and, like was terrifying the village itself. So on both occasions, we have something that visually aesthetic, it's unique. They know how, like the South Korean filmmakers and the cinematographers, because we have to speak a lot about, we speak all the time about filmmakers, we don't speak a lot about director of photography, and like they do a great job. They know what to give, and like they know that the Western audience was searching for that, and they knew when to give it.
Yes.
And
it's visual delight.
Yeah, brutal but visual.
Yes.
And I repeat it too many times, but you have to see it to believe it.
Yes, indeed. Okay, final question. Your 3 movies from our year that we discuss in the magazine.
Okay, Matrix, obviously.
Okay.
Blair Witch Project.
Okay, interesting experiment.
We analyze this on our magazine, and like that's how we make the comparison between like Hollywood and South Korea. And again, Blair Witch Project came in 1999, And for me, it's unique.
It was huge financial success.
Yeah. It had a budget of only $60,000.
Very shaky camera.
Very shaky camera. And it won more than 200 million.
Yes.
In 60K. And it's unique the way that they did it. I mean, somehow the found footage documents that, like they found that this material and then they put it into movies. But the way they used... Okay, everybody speaks about the marketing, and for our friends who may don't know it, let's speak really fast and say that, like they organized... Again, internet was not used by many people as the way you use it today. So they realized that internet is powerful and we will use it for our movie. How? We will pretend that this is real. We will pretend that these students got lost in the forest by supernatural powers or whatever you wanted.
They made a site.
They made forums where they were discussing about that. They made even searching squads to go and search around the area. And the most important, Artisan Entertainment Company, took the distribution of the film. And you know what they did? They actually sent the film to 40 colleges around USA. Colleges, like how you saw films there. I've seen many films during my university years like that. So they can create a word of mouth and people start to discuss, presenting it as real. And also they put a trailer in Phantom Menace, Star Wars. So, you go to see Star Wars and before that you see a trailer about a movie that, is shaky and stuff and you're like,
what is going on? Yes.
But it was so unique. And apart from the marketing that, everybody speaks, I really want to say kudos to the two directors, that Sanchez and Murik, because they were giving amazing instructions to their actors. First of all, they told them to disappear once the movie was out. So, to keep the atmosphere that, they are actually dead. But the most important, to each of the actors, during each day, they were giving them different instructions, and the one with the other, they shouldn't communicate them. So technically, let's pretend we are to the actors. I have some instructions, you have some different instructions, and we don't know what we will do with each other. And wow, it builds different kind of dynamics.
Yeah, the natural dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, and your third movie?
Okay.
Surprises.
Yeah, it's a movie that we don't discuss in our magazine, and I will not elaborate more on that. Toy Story 2.
Okay.
1999.
Okay. Follow our YouTube channel, our social media.
We are on Facebook, Cinecult Magazine.
Expect more and more about cinema.
Yeah, all the links you will find them below, where to download also our magazine, both in English and Bulgarian.
Thank you, Yorgos.
Thank you, Radi.